On this episode of the Mad Rush podcast.
I actually ended up doing a panel at NYU, and I spoke to a bunch of the girls in the sororities and kind of shared my story and told them. I did confidence building exercises with them. I led it with two other girls who inspire me. I brought them on with me, and I kind of gave them what I wish I always had at that age, was someone to say, do the inner work, take the time, journal, reflect, and share that with people in a space that's comfortable, that want to know you, that want to appreciate you. And it was really, really, really beautiful. And I think because it's really like when you're in alignment with what you're meant to do, it all works out.
Welcome to the Mad Rush podcast. I'm Trisha Addix, the original sorority rush consultant. While the stories I have to share are nothing short of astonishing, this podcast goes beyond the wild client tales and sorority life. I'll be engaging with fascinating guests from both within and outside the Greek world, uncovering the surprising connections that bind us all together. Join me for a journey that's as entertaining as it is enlightening. Welcome to Mad Rush. Okay, y'all, I am so excited for today's guest. My friend Missy, who always has the best ideas, sent me this reel that Izzi, I guess it was a reel, and she's like, oh my gosh, you have to have her on your podcast. So I reached out, and today I'm so excited. I have Izzi Friedman. She's a full-time influencer based in New York City, and the founder of two businesses at a young age, Socialized by Izzi, a social media agency, and Girls Club, a community focused on empowering women. And through her work, Izzi helps individuals and brands become their best selves by fostering authentic connections, building confidence, and embracing kindness. All the things that I love to talk about. As a serial entrepreneur, Izzi is passionate about creating spaces where people thrive and rewriting social narratives to make it cool to be kind. I'm obsessed with cool to be kind. I sent that to you. Thank you so much for being here. I think my audience is going to love it.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. It's really, really special to have you reach out to me, especially after making that video. I mean, I want so many girls to know their worth and their value and just share my vulnerability.
Yeah. So tell our audience about the video that Missy sent to me, because you know which one it was. And then let's talk about what happened and your background and everything.
Yeah. So I went to Ohio State for college, for school. And as someone from the Northeast, my mom was in a sorority at Ohio State. My aunt was, all my friends were. So it kind of never felt like something I never wasn't going to do. And I remember my experience was really harsh and hard on me. And it was difficult for me to find myself and see my worth and my value for more than whatever the sorority was at the time. And I wanted girls to understand and know that it's okay to not fit in, and it's okay to be yourself, and everything happens for a reason. At that time, my life kind of really did a full 180. I felt like I was on top of the world and I had it all figured out. And then very quickly I felt so humbled and kind of just brought back down and was like, no one wanted you. And I felt so alone and so upset.
Let's back up. Let's talk about the experience that led to you feeling like that. So you went to Ohio State and as a freshman, and you went through Rush. Let's start there.
Yeah, so I went through Rush. I said my family had all previously been involved in Rush, so I never really even took the time to, I guess, decide if I even wanted to. It just kind of felt like something I had to do. And I think that also played a part into it as well. But throughout the whole Rush process, I was super nervous, but I kind of kept telling myself, you got it, you got it, you got it. Don't worry. I had a big who was dirty rushing me, which wasn't the best. I really, really thought that.
What do you mean? I know what you mean, but just in case somebody's listening, what do you mean by a big that was dirty rushing you?
Yeah. So I met a girl before I got to the school, and she would comment on all my posts. I love you. Like, you're my little, like, don't worry. we're in this together. And then throughout the rush
Oh,
process,
wow.
she was like introducing me to her fam. And like, obviously, they're not supposed to follow you on Instagram while you're going through the process. And her whole family did.
And by family, you mean her sorority family.
Yes, her grand big, her big, et cetera, et cetera.
And I'll explain that in a minute when we get a break, because I want people to understand what you're talking about. So go ahead.
Yeah, of course. I was so happy. I thought I finally had a place to be, or like I would kind of figure it out because obviously you don't know anyone going into a new school. And it kind of made me feel seen and appreciated. And I was like, I do got this. Like, it's so fine. Everything's great. And then I remember picking out all my outfits for recruitment, and I was so excited. I was overthinking everything, especially coming
You and
from New
everybody
Jersey.
else.
Yeah. I felt like the vibe in Ohio is obviously so different than the vibe in New Jersey. So I tried to like kind of match the vibe, but didn't really know. I was so focused on what anyone else would think and not what I wanted to be wearing and what I wanted to be doing. And was so worried about the opinions of other girls. And I remember being so strung out after the first day, having conversations with 5-minute conversations with like 5 different people in each house. And I was like, I'm so talked out
What
by
year?
the end of the
What
day.
year was this? When did you graduate high
On my
school?
fresh, I graduated high school in 2018,
Gotcha.
and I rushed in the spring of 2019.
Gotcha. Okay. So sorry, I interrupted you. I was just trying to
No worries.
get
Feel
so
free. I'll
you,
keep talking.
yeah, well, no, good. That's good. So, okay. Day one, you're exhausted. That BS conversations, that is just super overwhelming. Right.
So I got back. I remember my friend was talking to her friends about how she wanted, and everyone was kind of talking. And I remember like my mom telling me, don't tell anyone what house you want because you don't know what you're going to get. You don't know how it's going to work out. But like,
Good advice.
yeah. But I kind of felt like I had public knowledge already. Like this girl was already making it pretty clear to me and my followers and my audience or whoever was looking that I was her little. And I was set in the sorority that I wanted. So I kind of guess I went in biased,
Mm-hmm.
talking to the other homes and houses, and I just kept bringing myself back to that one. And I'm like a very social person. I love talking to people, but I've never been strung out like that before. And it was so crazy to me because it is intimidating. There's so many people you don't know that are older than you that are in this school where they know what they're doing and you don't. And do you look up to them? Yes, but like where's the balance between being yourself and wanting them to like you? So it was like very hard for me to navigate. And then I remember the next day going back to houses, getting called in, everyone's sharing who got in what and all this stuff. It was like very competing and comparing, which is ultimately will lead to part of the reason why I started Girls Girls. But it was all about who got in what and who got in where and kind of not really your own journey. And that really upset me. So at the time, I didn't really realize. I kept going. Rush was 2 separate weekends. So there was the first round, and I think the second, I don't remember what the second round was. And then there was the philanthropy, the pref, and then bid day the next weekend. So we had a week in between. I remember there were girls who also wanted the same sorority as I did, and they went out during the week, which obviously you're not supposed to do in the middle of the recruitment process.
Right.
Don't drink, don't go out, whatever it was. I remember these girls got so drunk, went out, and they still got in. And I remember getting a call the day of pref. I had my dress laid out the night before that I was waiting for so long to wear, and I was so excited. And my Rogam called me, and she was like, "Izzi,
And
I'm so
Rogam is
sorry."
her rush counselor, just so you know.
Yes, sorry.
No, it's okay. That's my job, is to clarify. You're talking about your experience, and that's your job.
Well, thank you. So yeah, she was so sweet. And I'm really grateful that I had her at the time. She walking me through the process, each step. In the morning, first person I saw when I left, first person that I left with to kind of guide me through. But she called me and she was like, "Izzy, I didn't want you to find this out from anyone else, but none of the houses have asked for you back."
And this was for prefs, or did you pref?
This was right before pref,
Okay, gotcha. Okay.
the morning of pref. I had my outfit laid out, put it on, was getting ready next to my roommate, putting my makeup on. And I thought it was a joke.
Right.
I was like, what? I'm so confused. Like, what do you mean? And she was like, Izzy, I'm sorry. And it kind of felt like it was like the biggest reality check in my life, or one of them. Like, it was such like a what is going on moment. Like, I questioned myself. I questioned everything that I knew. And I also questioned like the girls I was speaking to. And it made me so uncomfortable being in a new school, thinking that these were the girls I was supposed to be trusting. And look what happened. So I was obviously so upset and confused. I walked straight into the student union and I went straight up to the PHA, and
What's the
they were still
PHA?
the Panhellenic Association. It basically is they kind of put together all of the Greek
Right.
life, and everything goes through them. Just like the overarching umbrella over above all the sororities. So
I was just clarifying for the audience. I wouldn't have a job if I didn't know what that was. But go ahead. So you went straight up to them and
I said, has there been some kind of mistake? What's going on? And they said that they use computers to kind of sort people. And so I was like, maybe the computer had a mistake. Like, I know this is kind of a new system. What's going on? And I remember verbatim, the one of the PHA leaders was like, I don't get it. You're normal. Like, why does no one want you in their sorority? And I was like,
oh my God.
I was like, part of me was like, I guess, yeah, I am normal. Like, I mean, I know there are girls who sometimes struggle to be social and struggle to talk to girls. Like, I've never had that issue. So I didn't know what was wrong with me. And it sent me on a downward spiral. And the girls, like I said, who went out and got drunk throughout the week, got in Delta Gamma, and I did not. And I called up my supposed big, and she told me she didn't know what happened. She was crying. She's so sorry. She's working on it right now to figure it out and see what happened. And I never really got an answer. And then I remember spending a lot of time with a boy who was toxic to me, because all my friends were living in the houses the next year, and I felt so alone.
Oh, wow. That is a reaction that I never even really thought about. Wow. So I don't know if you know this, but the reason I reached out to you, and I think I sent it to you, the reason I do what I do is because that same thing happened to me. So I know I know exactly how you felt, but I never thought about how that might, like, I felt isolated and alone, and wow. And so it forced you kind of to spend time with someone who was toxic because that was your option.
I mean, transparently, I was talking to an older boy when I first got to that school,
Mm-hmm.
and I knew he had an ex, and she was in a different sorority that I wanted, but not Delta Gamma. And she wasn't really friends with the Delta Gamma girls either. So I didn't really think it would affect it.
Mm-hmm.
And my mom was like, don't get with an older boy. Don't get with an older boy. And I was like, you don't know anything, Mom. Like, go away. Like, let me live my life. So,
I'm right, you're wrong.
um, yeah, it's like you really feel like you know everything when you graduate high school, and you're ready to take on anything that college will bring you, but you don't realize how much you really don't know.
Right.
So, yeah, I mean,
And it's
I
also hard, to be fair, for you to hear that from your mom, because that's advice that should come from someone else. I mean, not trying to like sell my business or whatever, but like if I had told you that, you might have been like, huh, that might affect me in some way, just because it wasn't a mom, but
yeah.
maybe not. I mean, I don't know,
No, I
but
think I think it's always different hearing things from someone that isn't my mom. Like, because your mom kind of tells you what to do your whole life, and you don't
mhm,
want her to be right. You don't want her to do the "I whole told you so" thing. So, like, if you have someone that you look up to or you can trust, that you also know wants your best intentions, but isn't trying to like mother you or kind of make you do what they want you to, I think it gives more trust, and I think that's where your voice comes in.
right. So you spent time with this guy after Rush. Did you ever, the person that was going to be your big, did you have any like you said, you never really heard anything, but did you stay in touch with her?
Gradually, she stopped commenting on my stuff, stopped engaging with my posts. And when I saw her out, she didn't approach me anymore. Like, I get it. It was bid day. They have a whole new pledge class and she's being a new little or whoever it was, but it was super weird. And then I remember a couple years later, once I healed and got out of the toxic relationship, I guess, I don't even know if I could just say her name, but there's no last name if it even matters. But she, I guess her cousin was roommates with one of my good friends at U Miami. So when she visited her cousin, my friend Jordan called me up and she goes, Izzy, I met this girl who went to Ohio State and said she knew you. Jordan obviously knew what I went through with the rush process. So she asked the girl and was like, do you know Izzy Friedman? And she was like, yeah, and starts laughing. And she was like, I dropped her.
She said that to Jordan?
Mm-hmm.
Wait, I think I did see you say that. Wow.
And that was 2 years later, and that's all I ever heard. Yeah.
So she did do it on purpose. Oh my God, that's tough. So you were not in a sorority. You did not go back through Rush. And no. Wow, that's tough. And that's tough to hear. And it's really tough to heal from. And I feel like,
oh yeah.
Yeah. I mean, and that's, like I said, it's why I do what I do. It's just this process. It's so hard to trust because you think, I mean, you're obviously very well spoken and, very personable and all the things. And it's not about looks. I always say that all the time, but you have that too. And so, but what I'm saying is you go through this process and their job is to sell you on their sorority and they want you to want to be one of them. So it's really hard to trust what you're hearing. I'm not saying it's not true all the time, but I'm just saying it's a hard thing. And when you're 18 years old or 17 years old, trying to figure out what is true and then you like you said, you question yourself. Wait, like she acted like she loved me. And then, and then you're like, it's super don't want to say that F word on my podcast because there are children listening, but no, I'm just kidding. But like, it's a total mind, excuse my language. I mean,
no, it is.
And that is and same with I'm glad you had your RoGam or RoCai. I don't know what they're called there. You said it, but like,
yeah,
she's got to move on because she's got a whole group that she's working with. And so she's got to concentrate on other people. So she's kind of leaving you just by the nature of it. I'm sure she did feel a connection with you, but she's got other things to do, other people to.
Yeah.
And so you're left alone and confused and you've been through this thing that you thought you could trust and you couldn't. And again,
I think.
Go ahead. You think what?
Yeah, I think so much of that's why I said in the beginning, like, I don't know if I even wanted to do it. I just placed my worth on it.
Mm-hmm.
I had my head set on this sorority that looked cool, that looked great, that I loved how the girls were posting on Instagram and how they presented themselves and the frats they paired with and all of those things. And I knew what getting into that sorority would look like from the way other people viewed me. And that's the value I placed on the sorority, not necessarily the entire intention of it, which is like to bring people together and create a safe space for them. But it became the opposite for me.
And that's a very good point.
Yeah.
And I'm not being critical at all, but that's what I always talk about. Finding your fit is so much more important than going with the cool one and I'm not speaking about you, I'm talking about in general. If you go at it from a way that is not genuine to you or doesn't feel right, then it's not going to work out. And I'm not saying that's not what happened to you because it's clearly not, but I'm just giving that advice to listeners that, if you're going, it's sort of like The Bachelor. Are you there for the right reasons? And if you want to get Instagram followers or you want to be cool and you want to be with the cool guys and whatever, that's a recipe for disaster. Again, I don't think that's what happened to you, but I think that is all part of it for you as a person genuinely. And I'm not trying to put words in your mouth, but
No, yeah.
you're a very genuine person. And for
Thank you.
you to not value, I mean, to kind of just go with a shiny thing in the corner rather than actually thinking about it beforehand. I mean, when you're in the midst of it, I mean, it's all just chaos. And so it's really
It
hard
seems
to
like
center yourself.
it seems like your whole worth of life, like in college, is placed on which house you get put in and how people will view you because of it. And I think it comes with so much of society and the way we were raised, thinking that we as girls need a clique to fit into. And what is that clique categorized as? And we almost, even as humans, need to label people as certain things to make us feel a certain way about ourselves. And that is my goal with Girls is to ultimately teach girls and people everywhere that every single person has something special to offer in this world. And if you open up yourself and allow yourself to get to know each person, you will become better as a person because of it. And if you strive to look a certain way or be cool, like I always say, like luxury is a game you'll never win. You're never
That's a
going to be the
great quote.
coolest. Oh, thank you. I think there's always going to be someone with more and always going to be someone with less. So instead of playing the comparison game, at that age especially, I really wish that I would have sat down and got to know myself and figured out what I wanted for myself and what actually makes me feel worthy instead of thinking that being in a certain clique or being around certain girls, even if they weren't the kindest, gave me my worth.
Right. And that is so what I try to do is try to help people, which I mean, you're so wise and
Thank
it's
you.
sort of like, people don't want to listen to their moms. Not, I mean, you at this age going, doing what you're doing, and I want to get into that too, is so amazing and empowering. And it's, I could say, you don't want to make your self worth because you're in a certain sorority or whatever, but it doesn't resonate as much as someone who is younger and understands that and the way that mind works at that age. So that's really, really cool. So on your Instagram, I think you said something about DG wanted to do something with you. Is that,
Yeah.
can you talk about that or no?
Yeah, of course. I think it was really, really beautiful and full circle because after not being in that sorority, I told you I downward spiraled. I was like, what's wrong with me? And I'm sure my mom didn't mean this, but she also was like, what's wrong with you? Because
Right.
she was like, and that kind of added the extra pressure of what is wrong with me? Like, I
Yeah,
don't
and
know.
I'm gonna interrupt you there too, because that is something. Because your mom was reeling also, and like she knows how great you are. So I see it a lot. Not the blame game, but parents are like, "Well, what did you say? What did you do? Was everybody else wearing flowers and you're wearing all black, or what? They are because they're so confused because they know how great you are." But they're sure you must have done something because it didn't work out. And so I hate that. And I see that a lot, and I'm not saying anything bad about your mom, but it's human nature
Oh
because
no, it's okay.
she thinks you're amazing. And
She wanted me to have that same experience she had at school.
right.
Yeah.
And she wants to know because she doesn't understand this game that it is. She's like, well, wait, what did you do? And rather than, okay, my cute, adorable, wonderful daughter didn't get into a sorority and now like, what the hell? So,
Yeah. I mean, it definitely comes from love, her wanting to protect me and being like, okay, well, what did you do wrong? Let's help you fix it so it doesn't happen again.
right.
But obviously, it didn't really come that way. So from there, I kind of ended up with the boy and all my friends. I remember people asked me when I would wear Ohio State sweatshirts. I love that school and would do anything to go there again. Like it is the best place in the entire world, in my opinion. But
Not really. I'm
I
just
love
kidding.
it.
Georgia, go dogs. Sorry, go ahead.
I'm a we're a big Buckeye family. I love that school more than anything. But I remember when I didn't get in, people were like, well, why are you still there? And I was like, what do you mean? Like, I didn't pick
Wait,
this
what? I'm
school
supposed to
because,
leave?
no, I picked the school because I love this school, not because of the sorority experience. Like, I think you can meet beautiful girls and amazing people that want to support you anywhere. And sororities are supposed to help you with that, but that shouldn't be the main reason you're going to school.
Right.
Like, you're there for an education. You're there to better yourself and surround yourself with people who can make you better, not people who make you question your worth, or am I not good enough to wear this outfit out, or asking everyone to go to the bathroom with you because you can't go by yourself, or because you are don't feel good enough about yourself to trust the way that you feel and get to know yourself and wear whatever you want to out. Or you need someone's approval. It's like, once you get to know yourself and love yourself wholeheartedly, you don't need anyone else. You don't need that external validation, and you're fulfilled and you can reach your full potential, especially as a college student when you're figuring out who you are. But I think, like, I remember girls would ask me too, like, I'd say I go to Ohio State. They would also be like, well, what sorority were you in? That was the second question they would
Mm-hmm.
ask. And every single time they did, it felt like a knife, like in my chest, again and again
Mm-hmm.
and again and again. And they're like, well, I don't get it. And it made me realize, like, because it's so normalized to be in a sorority as a girl, or at least from where I'm from, that they're like, well, what's wrong with you
Right.
too?
Mm-hmm.
So from there, just downward spiral, ended up, like I said, in a really toxic relationship. All my friends were living in the house the following year. I lived with girls who weren't the most positive people to be around. They liked to talk shit about girls that they didn't know because they didn't have anything else to talk about. And the overall toxic environment. So I kept staying with this boy, and it was a really abusive relationship. He cheated on me a lot. He cheated on me with the girl who was his ex, who didn't allow me in her sorority. But major full circle moment, because for so long, this girl's name is Brittany, and she's allowing me to talk about it. We are best friends now.
Oh, really?
She,
The ex, the toxic boy's ex. That okay?
mhm.
Okay.
So she is the sweetest, most amazing person, and people kept saying to me, like, why, like, you would love each other, like, you guys would be best friends. And I'm like, I don't care. She's the reason my toothbrush isn't there anymore. Like, she's the reason that he, I don't know, won't spend this time with me or take me to this date party. Like, he made me believe for so long that she was the problem, and he did the same with her.
Oh, wow.
And it made us hate each other, yet we've never met. And I was like, why is it so easy for both of us to believe him
Right.
over girls, over us as girls? And that's another reason that girls came to be, because I was like, that's so upsetting. Like, he's clearly playing both of us, but yet we
Right.
still believe him and not each other. Like,
Right.
it didn't make sense to me. So eventually, when I broke off of that relationship, we compared notes, and I used to be so afraid of her. I would see her walking across campus, and I would be like, I would freeze. I'd be like, oh my God, like, gotta avoid her. Now I do anything to see her. Like, I love her with my whole heart. And it took some time for me and her. I think we were both getting with the same boy junior year, and they were roommates. And she was like, Izzy, I've been wanting to talk to you for so long. And she was like, I'm so sorry that I didn't find you sooner. I'm so sorry that I believed him. I'm so sorry that you didn't get in that sorority because of me. I'm so sorry that you felt alone. I'm so sorry, and I wish I could have been there for you through everything that you went through.
Oh, wow.
And it meant the entire world to me, because this girl that I hated so much that I didn't even know, it's like
Right.
everything bad would happen, I'd blame her because it was easy.
Right.
And at the girls launch party, well, I guess a little backstory on that. So post college, I thought girls would be better in the real world, and they weren't.
Shocker.
And then in the corporate space, and now in the creator space. And it really upset me, because even then, it's like, as influencers, as content creators, we have the power to influence the younger generation. And so many of these girls are teaching them yet again that their value is worth what makeup products they have on their face, where they go to dinner, what brands they have on their bodies, and how many likes they're getting. And it breaks my heart, because it goes back into that needing and wanting and desire to fit in and blend in and be cool, or whatever that
Right.
is, instead of focusing on you and what makes you special.
Right.
And it perpetuates the whole mean girl situation of, you need to be pretty, or you need to dress right, or whatever it is to hang out with me. And I was like, ew, this is who we want to be like? This is disgusting. These girls are insatiable. They're so mean. They're like, stand there with their backs towards everyone. And it felt like I was in a high school cafeteria at some of these brand events. And it's technically work for me. I'm going, I want to meet the brand reps, I want to develop relationships with the team, and yet I'm so uncomfortable. And so I really want to give the power to the nice girls and teach girls to make their own decisions and choose to hang out with the people that make them feel good and not good enough. And I think that's even goes back to the whole rush thing, like trusting the process. Like I was so upset and I'm still dealing with like the trauma behind it.
I'm 56 and that's why I have a business. So I get it. Oh, no,
No,
I'm 57.
it's traumatizing.
Shoot, I'm 57. Yeah, it's traumatizing. And it's not even just about the fact that it's a sorority. It's just like everything you know to be true or you think is true, even if you don't know who you are. To have that at that time, it's a lot. I mean, it's everything. And it's, it's people, I do know I have to like kind of explain what I do. I'm like, oh, I'm a sorority rush consultant. And it seems like it's vapid and I'm trying to get people to fit in, but it's not. It's just trying to let people, I mean, I had the trauma, so I don't want that to happen to other people. And the way to do that is to be your authentic self. And the only way you can do that is if you figure out who that is. And that's what I try to do and help. But you are a lot younger than I am doing that. So that's amazing. Well, so tell me, you mentioned Girls Girl. So does that tie back into the DG thing? And then I want to hear about like what actually Girls Girl does.
Yeah. So basically, I was just like, what if we brought all these people that know that your worth is more than that and brought them together? And what could we create? So I kind of brought girls into a room and I launched the Girls Girls event. And within a week, I mean, it blew up since. And in a week, I got an email from, of all the sororities, NYU, DG.
Wow.
And it was a really long, thoughtful, beautiful email from the president reaching out to me. And she said, Izzy, everything that you wrote and that you are speaking about Girls Girls, because I put my launch speech on Instagram and it took off. She was like, this is exactly what I want for my community. It's exactly what I'm trying to build. And I would love for you to come in and speak to our community about confidence and kindness and female friendship and the way we should be treating others. And
did you just burst into tears when you read that?
I froze. I was like a deer in headlights. I called my mom right away and she starts crying.
I know. I've teared up just hearing you say it. It's just unbelievable.
I was just in utter shock and disbelief. Because it's really like when you're in alignment with what you're meant to do, it all works out.
Mm-hmm.
So stop trying to be the person that you're not and just be the person you are is I think the moral. But
your trauma and your need, just being your authentic self, which is what I say all the time, has led you to this calling and you're going to help so many people. So what does Girls Girl do? Like physically, like, I mean, not physically, but you know what I mean? Like, do you have meetings or what is it?
Yeah. So I actually ended up doing a panel at NYU and I spoke to a bunch of the girls in the sororities and kind of shared my story and told them. I did confidence building exercises with them. I led it with two other girls who inspire me. I brought them on with me and I kind of gave them what I wish I always had at that age, was someone to say, do the inner work, take the time, journal, reflect, and share that with people in a space that's comfortable, that want to know you, that want to appreciate you. And it was really, really, really beautiful. And I think trying to plan a trip over to Ohio to do that one next.
Yeah.
But Girls Girls to me is a movement. It's a revolution. It's a rewiring of what we've been taught growing up and what we know. It's changing the scarcity mindset to the mindset of abundance and being open and accepting instead of being closed and angry and sad. Because even now I see friends that are just like, they talk shit about girls all the time. And then I'm like, I can't imagine what they think about before they go to sleep at night.
Right.
Because they're not writing what they're grateful for. They're not sitting and being happy and ready to start a new day. I can't even fathom like the pain they're going through
Yeah.
to do that, to make someone actively feel bad about themselves. Um, and so Girls is, I think there's two sides of the equation. So I think there's two girls and they're both insecure. I think there's the Regina Georges who think their value is what they wear and the brands and being above everyone, and they'll step on other girls to get there because they're threatened by anyone else who has value or depth or whatever it is, and that's a deeper level of insecurity. And then there's the girls who are super shy and they don't know themselves and they're afraid of her and they are also insecure. So it's like, how do we bridge the gap and teach both girls to love themselves? And then there's no one girl on a pedestal or one girl is awful and weird and I don't want to be near her. It's like, we're all just girls at the end of the day. We're all just women. Yeah, we may like separate things and we don't need to necessarily be best friends, but like, why is our first thought to judge the other woman when we meet them in the room? Judge what they look like, what they sound like, who they hang out with, whether or not we think they're cool or their Instagram is cool. Why instead they're just other women that go through similar experiences that we do? And like, I wonder who they are. I wonder where they're from. I wonder, I don't know, like anything. Why is because guys don't do that.
Right. And that's what I tell all of my people that I work with. I'm like, you really sit down and think about what you value, and there are schools of thought where, oh, you want to know exactly what someone's going to ask you in rush so that you can have the right answer. And I'm like the opposite. I'm like, no.
It's not about that. Yeah.
Right. I'm like, no, because that's one, not genuine. Two, you're not going to find your people that way. And three, like actually sit down and think about what you want to know about a person, you as a person, and then ask them that. Even in rush, which is a superficial process, and you definitely have to, dress rush appropriate and all that stuff. That's all part of it. But as far as showing your authentic self and finding your authentic fit, the only way you can do that is to not treat it like you have to have the right answer and you have to know what you're going to be asked. Because, I mean, I can tell you what you're going to be talking about in the rounds, but what you find out about them, you have to put in some work and you have to think about, what do I really want to know about these people? Because you're trying to find your people, and that's all you're trying to do. And you want to be genuine and authentic, and people are attracted to people who are confident in who they are and who want to lift other people up. And you're right. I don't know those people that are talking about other people. I think you hit the nail on the head. There's some pain there that is tough. But I mean, my bet is you, even when you were in a lot of pain, didn't do that. I'm just guessing. I mean, I'm not asking you to say yay or nay. I'm just saying, I feel like when you're going through something like that and you're struggling, you kind of just don't even know what to say, if that makes sense.
Yeah, definitely. I think you kind of have to realize that it's time to stop playing the victim and do the inner work and get to know yourself, because this is going to sound super morbid, but like, you're the only person that you have for the rest of your life, that you truly will have. And it goes back to the whole thing of like, girls can't be alone and they can't sit with themselves because they're afraid they won't fit in, they won't be good enough. So like I said, each person has something uniquely beautiful about them. And when you hone into that, you'll find people that help you grow that. And when you're in alignment, you're living your life to your fullest, and the right friends will come along, and you'll have real, genuine friends that support you, and not just a big quantity of friends that make you feel alone all the time. And yeah, I mean, we create physical safe spaces for girls, doing different types of events in New York City. We're launching in LA later this year, which is really exciting, considering we're not even 5 months old.
That's
Thank
awesome.
you. But I think in order to make it cool to be kind, in order to spread the message as far and wide as we can get, I work with brands that I feel like align with our values and our mission. And as a creator, every brand that reaches out to work with me, I pitch Girls because on the other end of it, they also work with people who are entitled and aren't grateful and maybe take advantage of them. And they don't see them as humans. They're just people that are going to help them get whatever it is, more brand deals or whatever, because they're insatiable. And I think, like I said, luxury is a game you'll never win. It's like, it's just, you have to love yourself, and it's scary, but I want to glamorize doing the inner work. So we have an event coming up with Buxom, actually. I don't know if you know Buxom Cosmetics, but we're writing a love letter to yourself and then writing a love letter to someone else for Valentine's Day. And then we've done events where you journal and you break down your insecurities and you write down what's the one, like what upsets you about yourself and what do you love about yourself and how do you want other people to view you. And if you can just close your eyes and embody that human, you become her. So there's so much spirituality behind it as well, and manifestation and a lot of tactics that go into it. But I think the first step is creating a safe space for girls to feel comfortable being themselves and know that they're accepted, and everyone in the room wants to be their friend just as much as they want to be everyone's friend. And it's been the most rewarding thing, seeing girls come in and not know one another and then leave and go get their nails done together the next day, or like anything from going to dinner all the time. And the stories that I've heard, even just the feedback, has been beyond what I ever could have imagined.
Yeah, that's so cool. I'm on board. Whatever. I mean, I think you're amazing. And yes, one of the things I tell people is if you break it down, if you take away all the stuff, everybody just wants to love and be loved. That's what it is. And they want to find their people. And, you know, I kind of say I don't give them a safe space, but I say, you know, go up to somebody. If they're alone, go up to them and start talking to them and really want to know what makes them tick. And then that's how you start to make connections. And I think you're doing that in a platform that's amazing. And I want to tell everybody listening to be a girl's girl and that it's cool to be kind. I think you're amazing. I want to help you with your mission. It's so aligned with my mission. It's just a different way of going about it. But we both are taking our trauma and taking our experiences and trying to help others not have the same experience and to know themselves. And that's great. So tell me real quick about Socialize. What is that?
So Socialize is my social media agency. So I graduated from Ohio State in 2022, and I started working at a fashion magazine in New York City. It was my dream. I always wanted to work for a fashion magazine. I used to read Bazaar, Elle, Vogue, and tear out all the pages and was like, this is going to clear my acne. This is going to be the best of the best. Like, I trusted them wholeheartedly. And maybe I'm naive or whatever, but when I worked there, I realized it wasn't as genuine as I thought it would be. And I was like, who's going to tell everyone what's real? Isn't your whole business success on people's trust? And you're not even trustworthy. So I started posting on my social media, and I always loved posting and sharing things with people and connecting people, making my friends friends and all the things. And I was like, I have this big platform and I have a big following. Why? And college, I've always loved posting, like I said, but college, I cared so much what other girls thought about me that I was like, I'm not doing this. And then I realized, like, why do I care about what everyone thinks about me when I should just be myself? So I started posting my honest feedback on products and experiences, and I tried to glamorize my day in the life. And then there was a whole big restructuring, and my boss was super abusive. It was literally like Devil Wears Prada. I'm not even kidding.
Oh, wow.
It was the craziest thing. And I love to write. I love to read. I'm like a little nerd. I love like my books and everything. So I was like, why am I here? And I was watching the magazine issues get skinnier and skinnier and skinnier, and my social get bigger and bigger. And I was like, what am I doing? So eventually I ended up leaving, and I took a job at the Standard Hotels, if you're familiar with them.
I am.
So I launched their influencer program at their properties, and I kind of brought them down and kind of explained to them the new age of social media. My mom always said, like, put your head down, you're in corporate, do what everyone tells you to do. And then all of a sudden, you know more than your superior. And they didn't really like that. So they wouldn't really listen to me. I posted the videos they told me to. They're very curated. They looked like ads and all their videos were flopping. And I was like, you know what? I'm going to do what I know is going to do well. And it was their first viral video. And they were like, cool. So I was like, okay, bye. I'm not doing this either.
I'm not doing it for you.
Yeah. I was like, why does no one see my worth ever? So I was just like, I'm going to go out on my own. And
that's very brave.
Yeah, it definitely took a lot. But I am so grateful every single day. It forced me to get to know myself and hone into my skills and talents. And now I can share it with the world and help other people do that as well. So, kind of how I keep saying like everyone has something unique to offer. So does every business and brand. And it's like, why would you go to this restaurant over this one? Like, if you're just posting the same thing. So I share the unique values that each of my clients has. So I want to help them tell their story online and kind of like socialize their brand into social media, whether through community, connection, posting, telling stories of the owners and the founders and how they met, and sharing real experiences and maybe people who got engaged in the restaurant or whatever it is, just building real human connections from a brand standpoint as well.
That's awesome. Yeah. And I experienced that too when I've never really done that, but whenever I post like authentic, like me, and people understand my motivation, which is very different than what it could seem like on the surface, that's when I have the people that respond to me the most. And that is when my business does the best. And that's not obviously I want to make money, but it's when people realize that this is unique to me. I am the only person who can do this the way I do it. And so, well, with my team, but yeah, it's the authenticity is what is giving you and will continue to give you success. I mean, not that you need my validation, but.
No, but I think it's important that everyone knows that.
Right. And I'm super excited to, like I said, have you on here, but I'm all in for anything you need. I can connect you with people, whatever. I think that you're going to change the world even more than you already have. And I think you are uniquely amazing. I really do. I'm not just saying that. I don't say that to many people. Well,
that means
family, obviously, but I think you're amazing. I do. And I see a lot of people.
That means the world to me, honestly.
Well, I'm in your camp. I'm an Izzi Friedman fan, and we have to do the hashtag observation of the day stuff. But then I want you to tell people how they can find you, how they can get. I think a lot of people. This is going to resonate with a lot of listeners. They're going to want to be a girl's girl, and they want to, and they're going to want to be cool to be kind. So I probably said that wrong, but yeah. Whatever.
No, you didn't. No, it's cool to be kind.
It's cool to be kind. All right. So Bama Rush Talk popularized the hashtag OOTD outfit of the day, which I'm sure you're familiar with. For Mad Rush, I'm repurposing hashtag OOTD into observation of the day. So what is your hashtag observation of the day? And I feel like you've already had 1 million. So this can be whatever.
I don't know. I'd say,
Cool to be kind is a really good one.
All right, let's do it. My observation of the day is that it's cool to be kind and it's cool to be you.
That's awesome. All right. Thank you. All right. So tell people how they can find you, Instagram, whatever you young whippersnappers do.
So I'm on Instagram at Izzi Friedman. It's spelled Izzi. And then Friedman is like fried man. And then everyone always loves when I say that. I don't know. There's so many different ways to spell it. You can also find me at Girls Club NYC on Instagram. And then my social media agency is Socialize by Izzi with an I.
I think we need a girl's girl in the South. The girl's girl.
I'll get there.
Yeah. Well, with my help, dang it, I'm in. Awesome. I don't think you need me, but Anyway,
Oh, stop.
I am in your corner. I think you're amazing. I'm so glad you were here today, and I look forward to following along and being with you in whatever way you want, because I think you're simply amazing.
Thank you. That means so much to me, especially coming from you. And I'm excited. I'd love to continue working together and see how we can bring our message to more people.
That's awesome. Let's do it. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Welcome to Time Out with Trisha. Because can you really give advice if you don't speak about yourself in the third person? I don't think so. This is exactly how I speak to my clients. The good, the bad, and the ugly. So listen to me. I know what I'm talking about. Now let's get into it. Okay, so speaking of our cool influencer that was just on Mad Rush, I want to give you guys a little refresh checklist for when you go through Rush. Make sure you've done your social media cleanup, you've submitted your resume, your intro video was submitted, your rec letters were requested and submitted. And if you want our proprietary rec organizer, you can email me at @rushwithconfidence, or actually DM me. Make sure that you have worked on connections with people who are already at the school, that you've practiced conversation tips and tricks. Your outfits are steamed and hung up and ready to go for each round, with backups if necessary or when necessary. Round 1, round 2, round 3, round 4, outfits for each day, not just each round. Your rush bag is packed. Your support squad is assembled. Your mindset is open. Your outlook is positive, and you've got it. And that's it for Time Out with Trisha. We'll see you on another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. Thank you for tuning in to another episode of the Mad Rush podcast. If you are enjoying this podcast, please consider leaving us a 5-star review. For additional Rush tips, updates, and more, please follow me on Instagram at @rushwithconfidence. If you would like to reach out to us, or for more information, please email info@madrushpod.com. This podcast is produced by Collier Landry and Don't Touch My Radio. Copyright Trisha Adams.